Wings of Fame is definitely an interesting film. It's a little slow in places, but it's really fascinating. And I actually got really emotional at one point. This was released in 1990. It's directed by Otakar Votocek and written by Herman Koch and Otakar Votocek. And I apologize if I've mispronounced any of those names. And we have a cast including Peter O'Toole and Colin Firth. And at the start of the film, Colin Firth's character Brian kills Peter O'Toole's character Valentin. Valentin is a successful actor, and he is murdered by Brian. And then immediately after, Brian also dies in an accident. And also, this sounds very dark, but it is a comedy. And they both immediately go to this kind of hotel in the afterlife. Is this purgatory? Who knows? It's one of the questions. And they're on this island where only the famous people go after they die. And we do have some famous people, famous names, and part of the film is trying to work out why they're there and what they do next. Most of the film is about them interacting with other characters, and it is very character-driven. I do think I would have preferred a slightly stronger narrative, I guess a clearer narrative path, but it was still enjoyable to watch the characters interacting. We had some great dialogue between characters. The design of the area of this island looks absolutely fantastic. It's so brilliant, visually absolutely gorgeous. It feels very vast as well. It feels like a large space. And of course Brian is there because he is famous for killing this famous actor. But the point of the film, and this is actually explained quite early on in the island, one of the current residents explains this to, I think she explained it to Brian, that sometimes people will just disappear from the island, and that's because they're no longer famous on Earth. They've been forgotten about, and they will then disappear and go to goodness knows where. And that's basically what the film is about, that fame is fleeting, and really only a tiny, tiny number of people will have lifelong fame. And by lifelong, I mean after their life. And it got really emotional. And this is something, obviously focusing on, we have Brian as a writer and Valentin as an actor. This is something I think about a lot. I read a lot of books about classic Hollywood, and there are some names that I have never heard of. And they're obviously no longer huge names, whereas there are a select few actors from classic Hollywood who are still, to this day, huge names and probably will be for many decades to come. So that is actually something I think about quite a lot. And the film just really reinforces that message in a way that's funny. It is very funny. We have some pretty interesting music or sound effects at one point, which I thought was very well done. But it is also quite emotional as well. And I think it's always just something that's worth remembering, that nothing lasts forever. Fame doesn't last forever. And the higher you climb, the further you fall. And this is what we fear with Valentin. He fears that this is going to happen. One day he's no longer going to be remembered as this successful, famous actor. And it's interesting. So the messages are great. I think it touches on some really fascinating topics. And it does do so primarily in a way that's funny. But as I said, it does get a little emotional at times. And also just actors. It must have been really emotional to have actors, well-known actors, Peter O'Toole and Colin Firth, of course, very, very well-known. And even at this time, I feel like Colin Firth was quite well-known. Peter O'Toole, absolutely. And to perform in this film, that's basically saying one day you're no longer going to be remembered. That's going to hurt. It's going to be quite an experience. So definitely an interesting story and very fascinating. Yes, I would have liked a little bit more from the narrative itself, but the characters we meet are very interesting. I really enjoyed getting to know them through the perspective of our protagonists. As I said, the environment, the island, the location, it was fabulous. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great film. Wings of Fame is really interesting, and if it sounds like something that might appeal to you, and I really hope it does, then I am very, very happy to recommend it. I got a lot out of it emotionally, very, very thought-provoking, and it ties two of my greatest loves. I love classic Hollywood, and obviously it's dealing with the concept of not just actors, of course, but people who were once famous and who may no longer be quite as famous. if at all. And it also deals with my love of films set in the afterlife. So there were a lot of things here that really spoke to me, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Wings of Fame is a delightful film, and one that I'm obviously very, very happy to recommend.